Purpose and Performance podcast. What is wrong with you?
We have a cool toy. You might as well use it.
All right. Well, first and foremost, we wanted to just say thank you guys for all of your support. This has been really fun for the both of us. We just really hope that we continue to put out content that you guys want to listen to. And just as a reminder, as always, our charity of the month is the FCA, and all the proceeds from the shop and the donation portion of our page will go to that local chapter here in Bloomington.
That's facts.
Facts.
It's awesome. It's a good cause. Getting Christianity back into athletics and it aligns with our podcast pretty well.
It does.
It's awesome. Well, as fun as an intro as it's been, it's going to be a little bit more gloom here going into the conversation. And I don't mean gloom in a bad way, but it kind of goes from like fun foghorns into
pew,
like
pew.
a more serious conversation, right? But really, yeah, today we're stepping into a conversation that's uncomfortable for some people, I feel like.
Yeah.
Overdue for many and deeply necessary. I know that I listened to a podcast on this a few months ago, and after listening to it, I realized there's some things that I need to clean up myself and take care of.
Yeah,
So,
I think that if we don't talk about it, it's hard to see it in yourself.
Yeah.
And that podcast kind of did that for us, for sure. Well, not for me, because
that would be kind of weird if it did for you. Yeah.
I'm not a man.
Right.
Surprise.
So that brings me right into the podcast episode. What does it actually mean to be a man? And it's not by social media. It's not by politics. It's not by trends that change every 5 minutes in fashion or culture or whatever it might be. But what's it mean to be a man in Scripture? Be a man of God. Be a biblical man. Because right now, culture is inherently very loud about manhood. Everyone has an opinion on what a man should be, what they should be doing, how they should be doing it. But the weird thing is it's quiet about responsibility.
Yeah.
And so those two things have to be tied together. And, we're told to be confident,
Yes.
but not accountable. Like
Right.
strong, not sacrificial, free, but not faithful. And the result isn't strong men. I feel like there's an entire generation of very confused men out there.
Mm-hmm. Younger generations, I feel like, are just becoming more and more confused.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to get into the weeds of generations, but I feel like there's our generation who kind of has half and half of like what they understand. There's a generation maybe below that's a little bit confused on what biblical manhood looks like. And then I feel like the younger generation, believe it or not, my nephew's generation, who's about 15, is 15, not about 15, is more back into this biblical manhood thing and trying to identify Christ very young and things like that. So I think it's a really interesting topic to tackle because the people that would be listening to this aren't likely the people like him, who is this very young audience,
Right.
but the ones that are probably confused.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the tension that we're sitting in today is that culture defines manhood by image, comfort, and validation.
For sure.
And Scripture defines it by character, responsibility, and your obedience to God.
Very different things.
And I think we want to be clear, and I'll get into this more too, but like this isn't about shaming people or making people feel guilt or anything like that.
No.
Like this isn't to be like, hey guys, you got to be better, because that's not fair coming from an imperfect man and myself. But it is about calling us to the higher purpose of driving towards that obedience and that surrender to God as a man, and what that means within your household or in your relationship at the time.
Yeah, I think it's just about calling us to maybe do a little introspection.
That's a
and
good
I
way
said
to put
us
it.
again. Calling men to do a little introspection and just evaluate some things. That's all.
Yeah, and I'm excited to hear some of the questions you're probably going to be asking today or things like that, because it's going to be a completely different perspective than what's going on in my brain. Like,
Yeah.
my brain is just two monkeys clamoring the cymbals around, and then you're a little bit more organized than me. So
I just picture the Homer gif where he's like, bang, bang, bang.
that's that. Yeah, that's me. That's me. But yeah, so it's more about not being aggressive, but also not being passive, right? It's about being anchored in faith, anchored in truth, anchored in discipline, and really that faithfulness when no one is watching. And I feel like that's the part of manhood that we don't talk about enough is, are you faithful when no one's watching?
For sure.
So, yeah, we're going to kind of contrast today. We're going to take one end of the spectrum of what culture makes it look like. We're going to go the other end of the spectrum of what the Bible says it should be. We'll talk about a few different topics: strength under control, leadership through service, discipline is devotion, and why the world doesn't need a lot louder men. There's plenty of loud men in the world, but more steady men.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, if you're listening, you feel the weight of responsibility, or you feel a bit of conviction, or some of the things that I might say seem to bother you or get under your skin, that's that introspection that we're talking about. That's the thumbs up you're giving right now. I know when I listened to the Act Like a Man podcast that was sent to me by a good friend, I felt that a couple times where I was like, man, I need to improve on that. Definitely. So yeah. And the weight of the Bible was never meant to crush anybody. Wasn't meant to hurt anybody. It's meant to shape you. And I think that if we take a good look at that and we feel that conviction, we know where we need to change for each of us independently.
Yeah, absolutely. So, right.
Well, let's get into it. So we're going to talk a little bit about what culture defines as the modern man. But before we get into that, I do want to start with almost this disclaimer that we talked about a second ago. There are no perfect men other than Jesus Christ himself.
No.
And so when we talk about these are things that I struggle with, my friends struggle with, other godly men struggle with. This is, again, not to be something to make you feel ashamed. There's no point in feeling ashamed. It's to take a look at this and see where you can improve. And, you know, for me specifically, I think that before listening to the Act Like a Man podcast, I took a lot of pride in what I did. I wasn't necessarily over bragging on things, but there were definitely things where I was very prideful of them. Like, you heard me say it a lot where I'm like, oh, I'm so impartial. I'm so impartial. I can be unbiased all the time. And I would talk about that all the time when I'm looking at something. And while I do think I can provide an unbiased view, even when I'm in a situation, I don't need to constantly be telling people that and doing those things. So
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would also think that taking a stance in some situations is warranted.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll talk about that later. That's good. But yeah, if it feels uncomfortable, it's definitely spots that are being pointed out that you need to grow in. And it's just not about guilt, but having an open conversation. And I hope that there's conversation that stems from this podcast with some of my own friends.
Yeah.
Where they listen to it and hear it and feel a little bit convicted with it. But and I think that when we think about a man, and before we get into culture again, I think of the men in my own life. So I think of my grandpas, my dad, my youth pastor, Frank, for when I'm growing up, pastors like Mick at the pasture, and Vaughn, my previous pastor growing up, and even just close friends of who we think of like our biblical men. And in every one of those things, you'll notice that each of them have a different strength of what biblical manhood is. And so it's like you get this combination that can add up to what, not Jesus Christ himself is, but you can pull all these different qualities from people to see what biblical manhood looks like and how you can adopt those qualities from each of those men in your life to apply it to your life.
All those qualities Jesus has.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that was really interesting, and I took this from the Unashamed podcast with the Duck Dynasty folks, but Jace Robertson was talking about his dad, which is Phil. And he was talking about how Phil was his father on earth. That's true until he was 18 years old. And it was his job to show him what biblical manhood was and all these things. But at the end of the day, like with my dad just passing last week, when I pass, like he's just going to be another brother in Christ with me in heaven. Like he's not my dad there, even though he is, but we're all just children of God.
Right.
And I think that's so interesting because when I look at that and I see someone who's even 30 years older than me, who's a biblical man, I'm like, oh yeah, it's kind of like a father figure thing. They're going to mentor me and whatever it might be. But really, no, it's like we're brothers in Christ and we're doing this together and figuring it out together.
Yeah, for sure. And they're just as an older mentor.
Yeah, exactly.
But you still are both brothers in Christ. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you have a lot of examples of biblical men in your life. And if I'm honest, I think that looking back, it's like it's made you exactly who you are. And I look at you to be like, also, excuse me, I have the flu. And so my voice is not doing so hot right now. I'm going to sound like I smoke a pack a day on this podcast. Sorry. So like when I look at you, I see an example of like a Christ follower, biblical man. And I know that you're going to be humble about this and say, I have work to do, which we all do. That's fine. But I'm just saying, I think you're a great example. And there's many people out there that would agree with that. And I just see that you list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people right there that you grew up following and knowing what it was like to be a true biblical man. And you've drawn things from all of those people.
Mm-hmm.
It's just interesting because I can see what in my own life happens when there's a lack of an example of what a biblical man is.
Yeah.
Right. And if we've listened to my testimony, you know that in my own household, there was not that within my father. Not while I was growing up.
Right.
Not till the very end. But, and then I think that had a massive impact on the way that I choose men. So we've been talking about how, biblical fathers affect their sons. I think you said that a little bit earlier.
Right.
But the lack of having a biblical man in your life as a daughter has a huge impact on the way that she's going to choose men and ultimately shape her family in the future.
Absolutely. That's a great point.
You know? So
yeah.
I think that there was a trend of me choosing men that were just the complete opposite. And my standards were so low because that's just what I knew.
Right.
And I think had I grown up in a different way, that might not have happened. But
yeah,
I don't regret it because I did find you.
What's up? I wish there was
But
like a little aw thing on the
Pew,
keypad to
pew,
be like,
pew.
oh, yeah. The air horn's not as cool now.
But what's funny about it is that when I came across you as I was like, oh, he's like my best friend. That's a solid friend. Like that was my first thought, right?
Right.
Because to me, I didn't see somebody that was like, you know, as grounded as you were, as like an attractive thing in my life at that point, because it was just like I wanted like the bad boy, because that's what my trends were, right?
I don't think that's just your trends. I think that's following the culture trends. If you look at
Also
cultural TV and you look at what the world is producing on TV, it's not the good guy unless you're watching Hallmark movies, which those are terrible. But if it's not the good guy or the guy who's doing things right, sometimes that does get the girl in these cultural movies or norms, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it took me a while of like learning to trust and know you, to know that like this was the right call. And like, actually that was really what love was. And I knew love all along through our friendship, and I just didn't realize it until a year later.
Good things take time.
Yeah.
Good things take time.
That's just something that to think about as we go through this. I'm obviously not a man. I don't have any input into this topic today, but I am married to you. And so I can have a little bit of probing questions to expand maybe, but I'm just here to maybe give a little bit of a woman's point of view.
And don't worry, for our female listeners, we are going to have a women's episode coming up.
We are.
And I think we're going to make these into a little bit of a series later on too, of having biblical men or even biblical women on at a later date to have like mini series, but and showing what the purpose and performance integration mixed in with being a biblical man or biblical woman is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about culture and like, how does culture define a modern man? So, I think what culture emphasizes is like this like strength without restraint type deal. Which examples of this could be like action heroes that like solve problems with violence, right? That those types of figures in movies are seen as very strong,
right?
But also very violent and reactive. Workplaces praising aggressive deal making. This is strength without restraint.
Right.
Ads that equate masculinity with physical dominance or tough love parenting, which is a really nice way to put it. But I think that what we're trying to say with tough love parenting is more so violent parenting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those sorts of things. So in your opinion, who benefits and like who would be harmed on the flip side when strength is exercised without any restraint?
Absolutely. Great question. I think that the benefit is really no one.
Right.
No one benefits from unrestrained strength.
Yeah, I would agree.
Nobody. And I think that society, again, has portrayed it in a way where the man benefits and you benefit from this and the blah, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not drawing you closer to God. It's not doing anything that's shaping your life in a productive way. And then who's harmed by it? Anyone in the wake of that unrestrained strength that you think is good.
Right.
Anybody in the way. That's your kids, your wife, your friends, anything. Like we've all, and I'm speaking for men out there here, but we've all had that friend that back in college, they'd get drunk and go destroy everything. Why? Because
Right.
there's something else unchecked in life. There's a box missing.
Yeah.
And this is what's going to give them validation.
Right, for sure. It's egocentric.
Or the guys who are like, I'll fight anybody without alcohol involved, right? I'll
Right.
fight anyone. Okay, so you're clearly missing something. You might be strong, but not emotionally, not
Right.
mentally. There's something missing. So I think the people who benefits are no one, and the people that are harmed is everyone, including the person that is doing the action.
Without knowing it.
Right.
Right. I think the idea is that the person who benefits is the one doing the controlling
Right.
of the situation, but in reality it's not a benefit at all. It actually is harming them as well.
Right. And you do not sustain long-term friendships or relationships with people like that.
Right.
That it's the fact of the matter.
Yeah. So like what do you think like long-term patterns of relationships would be like? How would that be affected long-term?
There's no such thing as long-term with that.
Right.
I mean, if you really want to look at it, if let's say it's a relationship, and unfortunately this is deep and this cuts deep to talk about, but unrestrained strength deep into a relationship probably looks like abuse.
Mm-hmm.
It does. And that's scary and very emotional to even think about.
Mm-hmm.
And on health, again, you see these guys where the focus is just like, I have to be strong all the time. I'm unshakable, but not in my faith. I'm unshakable physically. This is what I am. That doesn't bode well for health as well.
No, right. It doesn't.
And community, there's such a lack of community with, again, that specifically. No one wants to be around that as an adult. No one liked to be around it in college. We were just there by circumstance, right? And I can't think of a single one of my friends, close ones I haven't talked to in a while, who are like, you know what, we should hang out with that guy because that's really fun to have to pull him off of people or
Right.
No one enjoyed that.
It's like if you've ever interacted with an individual like this, it's like first question, do you trust them?
No,
No,
absolutely
you don't.
not.
So broken trust is just
There's no established trust because they're unpredictable.
right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And you said abuse earlier in those like relationship situations, whether that's parent, child, or spouse.
Right.
It's going to cause unresolved trauma.
Yeah, absolutely.
People. Yeah. So what do you think being like parent child, like how does this ideal shape what boys are taught to value then if this is their parent?
Yeah, well, whether you like it or not as a father or a stepfather or uncle, it does not matter what your relationship is. If you are an older figure in a younger male's life,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to teach him it's okay.
Yeah.
It's going to allow that behavior to happen. And especially if they see it from like the unfortunate situation of a husband-wife situation, they're going to carry that generational trauma with them and either act on it or be emotionally devastated by it and not have long-term emotional or long-term relationships from it.
It also can be repeated.
That's what I'm saying. They go right back down the line and do the same thing again. And so you are creating a generational cut that is very difficult to heal.
Right.
And so I think that's the scary part of translating that to a younger kid who's absolutely looking up to you. Whether you think they look up to you or not, they are looking up to you.
No, absolutely. I mean, as a young boy, you see your father as your hero. And when you equate force with your worth, right. I mean, you're just teaching these boys to hide vulnerability and address conflict with being like dominant. And
it's scary.
It is.
It really, like, it's very scary. I think we also run into a little bit of the confidence, but without humility. Like, you get this, I'm strong. I'm strong, and nothing's going to take me down. Nothing has humbled you.
Right.
And that, again, we go back to the whole idea of this portion of the beginning of the podcast is talk about what culture pushes on us. And what does culture push? Swagger.
Yeah.
Be the guy. Be the guy that everyone goes to. Regardless of what your expertise might be.
Yeah.
Regardless of if you even know what you're doing, just blind confidence that'll get you where you need to go. It's all about self-branding and what are you bringing to the table as a man with confidence and a man with swagger, but no humility.
Yeah, it's more like putting on a show and having like all of this charisma versus like actually being quiet and listening.
Absolutely.
And having like that low confidence, the humble confidence.
So when that confidence is displacing humility, puts it by the side, what are like the errors that you think become more likely when that happens? Like, again, you said you're not a man, but
right.
You're married to one, you've dated.
I work in a very male dominated field.
You see this from your outside perspective, like when confidence displaces that humility, what kind of errors do you see become more likely?
Overconfidence just honestly leads to just really poor decision making, refusal to listen to anybody. It's very like, it coincides with entitlement. Like that's what when I interact with these types of men, the vibes that I get are like very entitled. Mistakes are very like unchecked because they could never make a mistake. They're just they're not humble enough in order to be able to admit that mistakes could be made by them ever.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So,
yeah. No, I like that perspective. Kind of the outside looking in perspective of what that looks like when you see it.
I mean, I think that I've run into a lot of these people in my time, and it's almost just like you have to walk on eggshells around them because it's like no matter what you say, it is going to be wrong or not as good, or there's a one up, or there's something along those lines where it's like just unchecked confidence, but it's not real confidence. It's almost like it's masking something.
And that ties right into the fact that constant certainty doesn't allow for them to be wrong. Right.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm so certain of this. Well, okay, no, you're actually wrong. Scientifically, paper-wise, whatever you're saying. No, you're wrong. No, I'm not. Okay.
What do you do with that?
Yeah, what do you do with that? Yeah. And again, like you said, I think that there's plenty of examples that you and I both know where this is a thing where it's like, no, I'm not wrong. Okay. Do you want to look and just double check to make sure? Nope.
My dad always told me growing up, if nothing else, be coachable.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, shut your mouth and listen.
Yeah, it's true. It's
and
very
be humble
true.
And be coachable.
Well, coachable takes you a lot further than talent, believe it or not.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's tons of examples.
Maybe he knew I wasn't all that talented. And he was like, well, you just got to try real hard.
Dang. That would have been a really good spot for the record scratch. Yeah. But no, I mean, there's plenty of incredibly, incredibly talented athletes, even at the professional level, not coachable. They don't make it.
And that's confidence without humility.
Right. That's exactly right.
Like, you're not perfect. The only perfect being in this whole world is God.
Yep.
Check the ego.
But again, that comes back to what we'll talk about with knowing God.
Exactly.
If God is not present in your life, you don't have the fact that you don't know that you're not perfect.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what structures would you say encourage performative confidence rather than honest competence? It's kind of a wordy question. And I have it written down here. What social structures encourage performative confidence rather than honest competence?
Yes. So I think in simple terms, like what social structures encourage us to put on a show?
Yeah.
Basically.
Right. Yeah.
Social media. Number one.
Yep.
Social media is good and can be so bad. But it's governed by external validation. How many likes? How much interaction can I get? Shares, all of these things.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a reward system.
Yep.
It's like a reward.
It's like a reward. But yeah, click of a like. Okay, I'm doing something right. And that is obviously not the case. There's so much misinformation on social media. So yeah, if you get an overconfident person who's sharing something that's completely incorrect, but they get one like on that without a comment telling them they're wrong, even if they do get the comments that tell them they're wrong, they're like, well, that person doesn't know what they're talking about because so-and-so liked this.
Yeah, exactly. And it offers a space for arguments, which I think a back and forth conversation can be good, but it also doesn't for these types of people, it doesn't offer a space for them to step back and see how that comment might be opening their eyes to a different perspective.
Right.
It's seen as an attack on them being right.
Yeah, I agree. Completely. Yeah, it's really interesting. So how would you say that God's biblical call, though, to humility and being coachable and teachable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think God says be coachable, but be teachable. How does it critique this approach?
I'm not understanding the question.
So how would like biblical calls to humility and teachability critique the approach of confidence without humility?
Okay. I think that Scripture would tell us to like admit weakness, right? And I mean, it tells us to be teachable,
right?
So, I mean, swagger without humility, I mean, is spiritually very dangerous.
Yeah, completely agree.
So another way that culture can define men is having freedom without any responsibility.
Yep.
And so I think examples of this are like framing adulthood as like this place where there is just endless personal choice and everything is up to me and it's me, me, me. I can travel and I can have all these relationships and whatever career I want and it's all about me. And it's very much de-emphasizes obligations to family or your community. And we can't forget that dating culture normalizes this just non-committal behavior of casual sex and like hookup culture.
Yeah, 100%. Could not agree more.
Yeah.
I think that's the largest example of freedom without responsibility for a man in culture standards. It's like, again, we go back to the TV shows, the music. I mean, whatever you want to pick, all of them idolize getting with as many women as possible.
Exactly.
Right.
And in the last 10, 15 years, dating apps have made it so much worse.
Ain't that the truth?
Yes. So what do you think what responsibilities are erased when freedom becomes the only value that one has?
All of them. I mean, I don't think that there is a single responsibility when you feel like you have true freedom. Like there's biblical freedom where like I am so free because I know God has me and I know that life is eternal after this place, right? That's a beautiful type of freedom.
Right.
Worldly freedom is exactly what you talked about. And I don't think there is any responsibilities. I don't think there's responsibility to the person that someone slept with the weekend before. I don't think there's responsibility to even maybe their career. There's like, oh, I'm non-committal to job, place to place. I'll hop around the company, country, wherever, going, doing whatever I want. I think that all responsibilities are erased when you think you have endless freedom.
Absolutely. Even the career thing we see now is we're starting to hire, younger generations, and it's definitely different than us. I mean, it just is. It's just how it always goes. And you see the old adage of like work somewhere for 25 years and really put your time in. And I think that should still exist to a certain extent. I mean, you should still put your time in, right? And I just think that speaks to freedom without responsibility, where they're like, well, I want what I want now, and I'll just go to a new company.
Wherever
just give
I
it to
can
me
get
right
it.
now,
Yep.
and I'm not going to like actually put this work in for it.
Or
I'm just going to talk we're just talking to this girl. I'm just talking for a little while and like very non-committal, and I'm going to use her basically for sex, but I'm not going to let it go anywhere. We're not going to get serious. This is just...
And dating culture is so funny because it's gone by the wayside. It's gone to talking culture, as you just alluded to. And so it's like bring back dating culture. Like date someone, take them on a date.
Court them.
Court. That's another formal word. That's the King James of dating.
Yes, it is.
Cool.
King James version. But even if you look further into parental freedoms, how many men do we know that feel trapped by their children?
A lot.
And I'm not trying to be a jerk by this, but we do know some.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about this in a little bit, but it's what do I have to do versus who am I accountable for?
Right. It's like seeing them as
a chore.
Yeah, and a burden to you when you're still trying to live your old life.
Yep. Time to live the new life.
That life is gone.
Yep.
You have a responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But I think that goes into like how a family and a community can suffer when those things are optional. Like there's data that shows us that being a freedom parent or a parent who's just here sometimes, gone others, kind of here, there and back, whatever it might be, that freedom that you think you're experiencing is completely detrimental to your child or to your community, like your community, your family, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Like
it causes less stability for children in your family.
Right.
For sure.
Absolutely.
It's also going to cause emotional insecurity in them. Imagine feeling like you're a burden to the person who is your whole world.
Right.
And you're a burden to them.
Like you said, you don't think they're looking.
They absolutely are looking.
It doesn't matter if they're 1 or if they're older than 18. They're watching you as an example of what manhood is.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So where do you think the line is then between healthy autonomy and duty?
It's a great question. I think the line is drawn in the Bible. Your duty is to your family. Your duty is to your spouse. Your duty is to God and what the Bible teaches. So the line is displayed in this beautiful book they call the Holy Bible. And if you follow that, it works pretty well. That's where your healthy autonomy is.
We got a roadmap.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it was like written a long time ago and it just still stands the test of time. And it actually tells you what you should and shouldn't do and how you should act like a biblical man and shouldn't. Again, I could go on and on, but if you just pick that up and you open it up, it'll kind of give you a good guide of what healthy autonomy should look like. If you're doing it to serve yourself, it's probably not healthy. If you're doing it to serve others and you're doing it to serve your family and your community or the people who are less seen or the unfortunate, then you're probably doing something right.
Right. And Jesus says to do it all out of love.
Right.
So autonomy in reality would be to be choosing your responsibility with love.
Correct. Absolutely.
So then how would biblical teachings about covenant, stewardship, and care kind of reframe this whole emphasis?
I think it would show you that your responsibility comes first and freedom comes second. And that freedom still is the freedom that's biblical freedom.
Right.
Different than cultural freedom.
Exactly.
And again, that's where this contrast in the whole beginning of this talk is what is culture telling us versus where should we be pushing to? Mm-hmm. And I mean, we talk about biblical teachings about covenant and your marriage with your wife and stewarding your family and your community and everyone towards faith and towards Jesus Christ and learning about him. Yeah, it changes everything because you realize that there's true freedom in that. There's true freedom in eternal life.
Exactly.
So it changes literally everything.
Yeah, I think loyalty in your covenant, stewardship of Christ's word, and taking on another person's burdens and caring for them, those things bring true freedom. Absolutely.
And you get to watch them, the kids, let's say, grow up. And when they see you do that, you'll start to watch them imitate the same things you're doing. Mm-hmm. That stewardship, like your son's going to want to hold the door for your wife if you do it. Like, it's a small thing, but it's like how many young kids, and I know I was this way, and Ezra's currently this way. He wants to open every door. He wants to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is something that's like the smallest form of proving exactly what we're talking about.
Right.
And I think as we talk about this, when we get freedom or we have freedom can be masked
mm-hmm.
by success. You have a little bit of success, so you think you have freedom, right?
Right.
And that comes from having that success, but not sacrificing anything to get there.
Right.
Right. So like the instant gratification, like, oh, I'm free because I hit the market right. Like I invested in the stock market and I did this. So now I have all this freedom. No, you have money and the instant gratification of getting a nice hit. So you're going to go out to a nice dinner, go do your thing. Right.
Right.
But it's not actual, there's been no sacrifice from you to do that. Right.
Right.
And I think that we as a society, and not just currently, but even back in the Bible and when it was written, think that wealth equals moral worth.
Yes, absolutely.
Like the broken, the downtrodden, these people who have suffered, no moral worth. The rich people are good. It's in the Bible in multiple stories. And it still exists today when we're watching commercials or whatever it might be.
It's heavily embedded in our culture,
right?
Especially in America.
It's every single thing you watch is about wealth.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to some European countries where they don't place emphasis on work and money, it's totally different.
Yeah, and sometimes that's some of the happiest people I've ever met in my life.
Right.
But yeah, when we look at that, like, what do you think? What subtle sacrifices are being minimized or ignored? So, like, time, integrity, relationships. Like, what? How are they being minimized or ignored? Like, how is success masking that?
Well, I think you're minimizing your time with your family. Mental health.
True.
I think mental health is probably a big one.
Mm-hmm. I think you can compromise yourself.
Yeah.
I think when we look at integrity, I think just seeing and hearing that word, that word is, I hold that in a very high regard in my own personal headspace.
Mm-hmm.
But you can become someone, even in your career field, who becomes a win at all costs person.
Yeah.
I will chop down who I need to chop down. I will lie however I need to lie. I will make this thing happen just to make it happen.
Yeah, and doing that at the expense of your own morals. That's going to add up.
It absolutely does. And
it
again,
absolutely adds up.
It all comes back.
And I think that goes to like integrity and compromising integrity. You can't do that over and over again without having some detrimental effects on the way you view yourself.
Absolutely. And then I think if you have someone watching you, whether that, again, we talk about son and to father or stepfather or whatever it might be. Think about the new employee at work who's 22.
Yeah.
And they are now training under someone who's 50.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a father relationship or a mother-daughter relationship. It's not like that. But when they watch someone go to that success at all costs, regardless of integrity, what's it do? It shapes culture where you work.
Yeah.
And it becomes problematic.
Right.
And
it's also not spreading living like Christ. And so you're now influencing a young mind.
Right.
In the opposite direction.
The wrong way.
By doing things because you're lying and you're cheating to get them.
Right. And I think we see a lot of examples of that in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And even people who do overwork, like we go back to time with family, they're like, oh, it'll be fine. I'm here. I'm providing for them. Like, I'm going to sacrifice. And then on their deathbed, they never wish that they worked more. They wish they would have seen their kids grow up. Yeah.
There was a really good quote from, I'm going to misplace who quoted it, but essentially the quote is, your coworkers very rarely are sitting next to you on your deathbed. It's your family.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So who do you think's like labor or costs are hidden behind someone's visible success? Like,
in the workplace, I mean, people who support your support staff, you know?
Yeah.
Service workers, people who go out and they work for service, not for a dollar.
Yeah. Toss the people under you and say, hey, they'll go do it. And then I'm going to be the face of success.
Exactly.
Yep. Without sacrificing to go do the work myself.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is everything's going to be my face on the label, but I actually just delegated all this work to all these other people.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, looking back at home, the family members who pick up the slack day in and day out.
Yeah.
Those are incredibly hidden labor.
Absolutely. I think I've said absolutely 100 times, but
Yeah.
you keep being right. You do be right.
I do like it when you say I'm right.
Just keep saying absolutely. But how would the Bible challenge this? Like this idea of success without, sacrifice. Like how does perseverant and servant leadership and all these things that are in the Bible, how does that combat the lack of sacrifice with success that we're talking about?
I think success without sacrifice in the Bible is deemed shallow.
Mm-hmm.
Like costly discipleship is valued.
Absolutely. I need to stop saying absolutely, but it's true again.
Yes.
I think the other thing too is when you're looking at this and you look of bad examples of success without sacrifice in the Bible, they will step on whoever it takes to get to the top, to be king, to be whatever, whatever position of power they can hold. And I think that is the perfect example of like, you look at Jesus and his servant leadership versus, Pharaoh and their leadership. Who did people want to follow?
It's the difference between being a leader and being a boss.
Exactly. Absolutely. Well, go ahead.
And emphasizing servant leadership. Serve others as a means of leading.
Yeah.
Versus just leadership. Or, being a boss, which I think would speak back to those who have hidden labor behind you or success at all costs and all that stuff.
And I think the overarching theme of what we're saying with this stuff in the beginning, there might be a lot of repetition to what we're saying, but it's also driving home the point of exactly what the Bible is saying with it, right? Like we have cultural metrics, like let's say power, for example. Okay.
Yeah.
We look at a CEO and we're like, that's a CEO. They must be awesome. They know what they just know everything. They run a multi-billion-dollar company that, they've got this. And I think that power can be misleading.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that power is that their personal identity is going to be tied into control.
Right.
And controlling others.
Absolutely.
So what do you think what measures of growing and flourishing are missed when power is the primary metric here that we're looking at?
From a cultural standpoint, I think it'd be culture.
Yeah.
Like if let's say we'll continue with the workplace analogy, but like if power is all you care about, you're missing culture. Just how it is.
Yeah. And so as a consequence, the flourishing within relationships within all of your team members suffers.
Mm-hmm. And I think when you look at that from a family perspective, when it's power, I'm going to make the decisions for this family and no one else's input is valid.
Exactly, which is just highlighting emotional immaturity.
Exactly. And so I think that's what happens when you have power and there's nothing to check that power.
Right. So if a man is in a pursuit of power, then how do you think the way he treats subordinates, family, friends, what does that look like?
Well, I think that man would probably use the word subordinates.
Oh.
I think he would probably start there.
Yikes. Yeah, I didn't mean it like that.
No, I didn't mean, I wasn't saying you. I know that the question was more along those lines, but I think that it becomes more about, again, who can I step on to get where I need to get to?
Mm-hmm.
And if that's my family, can I leverage my family to get where I need to get to for a position of power at work? Can I leverage my family to, what do I need to do in this house to regain control of this house and be the powerful one? It's the focus is completely separate of what actually matters.
Yeah, it values outcomes over people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that's probably a very common workplace problem, is when people feel that they are a number in a cog or a wheel on a cog and just churning away, and the company values, outcomes over people.
Mm-hmm.
No sale is ever going to be as important as your people.
That's correct.
So are there healthier ways then to influence that of which culture downplays with power?
Yes. I think that there's an unspoken power and there's spoken power. Spoken power is at work and you hold a position. You're the CEO, whatever it might be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Demonstrating servant leadership in that position of viewed power,
Right.
absolutely crushes what culture tells us.
Yeah.
If there's a CEO of a $50 billion company and he is the one doing the grind in, grind out daily work that maybe someone who makes 60 grand makes, and they see that, what's that do for culture? Company culture skyrockets it.
Yes. Yeah.
And same with family. Like if you are seen as the head of the household, as the man, as the biblical man that you should be, and you sit down on the couch at the end of the day and you're like, my feet hurt. I'm like, okay, I'll rub them.
Mm-hmm.
What's that look like to...
Ladies, take notes. He does this a lot.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the shout out. But like, what's that look like to Ezra? What's that look like to your kids? Does it look like you're serving your wife? Does it look like you're serving your family? I mean, there's so many examples of this where if you just lean so heavy on the arm of the servant leadership, you're going to make the right, even business decisions, because you're making the right decisions for the right reasons.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, like, you're protecting the vulnerable with your power.
That's a good point.
And protecting the vulnerable, that's what Jesus asked you to do.
Yes.
Use your power for good.
Mm-hmm. I don't think your feet are very vulnerable, but okay.
Hey. We don't want to compare feet on the podcast.
No, we don't. I'm wearing shoes you're not. That tells everyone they need to know. It tells them all.
You want to enable others to flourish at the end of the day. Like, your power should be used to power people up, you know?
I had to. Oh, man.
Okay, anyway, but how does the Bible distinguish between this lordship and servant leadership?
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about it just a second ago. I kind of unintentionally alluded to this, but like, you look at the Pharaoh in the Bible, you look at these people who have slaves under them, and they will, I feel like I keep saying the same thing, step on whoever they need to step on to gain power, keep power. I mean, they had cupbearers back in the day. Do you know what cupbearers did?
They bring cups.
Okay, that's they did do that. They were also, there's another name for them and it's slipping my mind currently, and I'm sure someone will have it when they hear this, but like, they would sip the cup, like the drink that the king was going to drink ahead of time, just to see if it was poisoned. So you were a sacrifice.
Wow.
Because you're worried about being poisoned. Oh. Yeah. So like, you look at leadership and it's like, hey, I'm not going to try that, but you can try that and let me know if you're going to die.
Right.
Like,
yeah, go make that sales pitch. Let me know how it goes.
Exactly.
And then when it goes well, I'm going to take the credit.
Exactly. And that's what I think, like, when we look at this, it's so imperative to remember how Christ's leadership looks like versus how other dominant people of the past, humans, not characters, not Bible characters, conducted themselves versus what Christ looked like.
Right. I would say that lordship crushes the weak, like I said, and then positive power is going to protect the vulnerable.
Absolutely.
So I think with power is automatically going to come this status or like ranking above other people. Mm-hmm. And that would probably be the goal of gaining power, is to gain status. So obsession with titles, going to elite schools, having luxury brands all over you, like as some sort of like proof of worth.
Yep.
Which we see a lot.
We do.
Lobbying for promotions at work because you must have the title. Like, the title is the most important thing.
Yeah. Back to that status.
So like, what do you think, like, what internal needs are like being met by seeking all of these statuses? Like, what needs do you think are like being unmet?
Every insecurity, all the lack of power, whoever had that before
Yeah.
had. Again, we talked earlier about the generational cut. Probably someone who didn't have a lot of power in their house growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, now I'm the CEO, so I get to do what I want. Now I make the decisions. Now I am this title, and you cannot tell me anything else.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what internal need is being met. I think that it's this longing cut that needs to be satisfied because of insecurities. And that is very harsh, but it's true.
No, it absolutely is true. And I would agree. I would think that what is met is your ego.
Mm-hmm.
Your ego is, boosted, and you're getting all of this like external security through external markers. And then on the core, on the inside here, like, because your identity is not rooted within your character and having true inner peace, which you can only achieve with Jesus.
Heck yeah.
You search for this belonging that isn't genuine through all of these external things. And so the only thing that's getting served is your ego.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah. So how does then ranking others to feel important affect your empathy and ultimately just justice?
Well, I think that you've put so much into thinking that this ranking is everything. The status is everything to you. So now I'm going to pass the status and I'm going to rank other people. It's like the MySpace top 8.
Oh boy.
Yeah, bring that back for you.
Yeah.
How's that feel? Heck yeah. But I think it's that exactly, right? It's the idea that you now need to rank other people so you can feel important.
Yeah. Or you need to outrank other people to feel important.
That as well. Absolutely. And I think that there are a large amount of vulnerabilities that are hidden behind that status.
Absolutely. And I think if you are at the top, or you think that you are at the top, you look at these lower groups with like disgust. Mm-hmm. And instead of what we're actually called to do with these lower groups is to look at them with compassion.
Exactly. And to treat them as equals. And like, that's it. So like, it's again, back to the unnoticed, the broken that again, Christ focused on. These are equals to all of us. We're all humans. We're all brothers and sisters in Christ.
Yeah.
But to someone who's so focused on status, that's somebody on the street. Like, I don't want anything to do with them.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many vulnerabilities, I think, that are just hidden behind all of these, like insecurity and just maybe some deep-rooted fear to fail. And that could be from childhood traumas or whatever that may be. I think in my own experience, when I experience these kind of men, I just look at them and I feel sad because I'm like, I feel like you're just really lonely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
And there's like nothing in there deep, deep inside that's filling what is probably a God-shaped hole. But yeah. You know what I mean? It's just the loneliness that's in there.
Completely agree with that.
Right. So how would biblical teachings about humility and equality address this status chasing?
Well, I mean, if you look at that and you look at the Bible and every teaching in there, it teaches that status is nothing.
Right.
It doesn't matter. And so I think it changes status chasing, because your status that you want to be viewed as, if you're a biblical man, is a biblical man. It's a Christ follower. It's a man of God. It's all these things that are the exact opposite of what we're talking about right now with culture. Right?
Exactly.
Like earlier we touched on multiple partners, right? The sexual validation, right? Mm-hmm. So we've talked about power. We've talked about status, the sexual validation,
right,
of what a man is in culture's eyes now. It's multiple partners. It's getting into the apps and finding the next hookup that you can get with. It's just basically, how can I jump from one person to the next so I can have the most meaningless relationships I can possibly have. And that is what's important. I mean, think about what one of your favorite shows is or used to be, maybe still is, How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Why was Barney popular?
Yeah. He
Had the perfect week, narrated
perfect
by
week.
Jim Nance. Honestly, very good episode, regardless of the context. Very funny.
I do still love that show.
It's a good show. But then again, when you realize that in the show that it's messed up and you're watching it and you're like, oh boy, that's not great. It's one thing to see it and watch it and understand that versus the, idolizing that, right? Like,
and this is such a unique topic too to culture in relation to men, because I don't feel that culture puts this kind of the same status on women as it does for men. For men, this is a very positive status, and they're like, it's a conquest, and it gamifies the conquest. Like, it's like, I'm gonna win this. And like for women, it's like, if we were to act this way, we would be deemed like a slut, for lack of a better term. And I mean, sorry, that's bold and straightforward, but that is what we would be, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very negative thing. But if it's the other way around, and this is really positive, and both things are not biblical, to be clear, but but it just equates masculinity with this, like, having multiple partners.
Right. And then what's that do then for the validation of that sexual activity for intimacy and trust between a man and a woman?
Well, it completely erodes the trust.
Exactly.
It completely erodes trust. And I think over time, for men, having multiple partners over and over and over again, I think it's over time going to leave you fractured and feeling a longing for deeper connection that you're just continuing to try to fill with meaningless one-night stands, for lack of a better term.
Absolutely.
And the more you do that, trying to fill it, the more it actually just reduces your capacity to have a real meaningful relationship.
Yeah, and I think it takes an absolute toll on both parties without them noticing it or even knowing it.
Yeah.
Like, I know quite a few people with regrets of this exact previous lifestyle because of the toll it took on their later marriage.
Yeah.
Right?
Interesting.
Yeah. And I think that you don't think about that. You don't think about that when you're a 17, 18-year-old kid or a 22-year-old college kid. Especially
when your spouse that you later marry maybe didn't live that kind of lifestyle.
Exactly. That's very drastic differences.
Exactly.
So what emotional or spiritual costs happen when sex is divorced from commitment?
I do think deep down it brings some shame. It does bring some shame. I also think it negatively objectifies, the body in men and women. I mean, it negatively objectifies what the body was meant for. And looking at, we'll just say men looking at women, looking at them as a symbol of selfish pleasure for me.
Yeah, it's a prize. Yeah.
It denotes everything that God made women for and what makes women so special and awesome. And we can do a lot of cool stuff men can't do.
It's true. It's true. Like, be organized.
Yes.
Oh, I'm just kidding. But not.
It's just complete disrespect for the value that women bring to the world.
Absolutely. Well, how did biblical views on sex and covenant and love critique that sexual validation as a goal? Like, how is it different?
Well, the Bible says that sex is a covenant. Right? So it is meant to be part of your marriage covenant, unbreakable, for just a husband and a wife. That should be your first and your last. It is the most intimate thing that you can do with someone.
That's true. Absolutely.
And giving a piece of your soul to random people for meaningless relationships. I mean, like I said before, it fractures you.
It does. Absolutely does.
So, and the Bible orients everything towards having fidelity and love and validating the relationship every day. And so giving that piece that's meant to solidify all of those things to random people and other people is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. All right, so we've got power, status, sexual validation, all things that culture is idolizing.
Yes.
What else we got?
So, comfort, which I think can be something for men and women both. But in the phrase of men, just having this like life of leisure and like this like I'm the king, head of household life.
It almost goes back to status.
It does, yeah. It's like basically removing effort from your daily life rather than putting meaningful work into your every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like this, like, I have the right to be at ease because I am the man and I provide.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The status of coming home and not helping your wife because you've been at work all day. And now you must be served by her too.
Well, and I think it's the same. I think that that's a very interesting topic to bring up, especially when we are in a world where most women also work.
Right.
So it's the fact that, okay, so you come home from work and she comes home from work. You sit down and she does everything.
How does that make sense?
Doesn't make sense. And
Does
again,
not.
sorry, my dudes, don't agree with that. And that's not how it should work.
It's not. And I've definitely heard the excuses. Well, look, I do harder work than she does. It's like, says who?
If there was a yawn button, I would click a yawn button.
Yeah. You created the family too.
Yep.
So, yeah. So I think the expectation of ease, it promotes avoidance and this entitlement in the home. We're like, I am not doing that. I am a man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Completely agree.
I don't change diapers. I'm a man. Gross. So how would biblical work ethics and notions of vocation reframe the pursuit of comfort?
Yeah, I think that when you look at the biblical work ethic, it comes back to the point of why are you doing the work, right? What is your why? But also, who are you providing for?
Yeah.
And how are you serving them? Again, servant leadership. We keep talking about it, hitting on it, but like servant leadership.
Exactly. Everything you do should be as a means to serve. So your work is your vocation. You do all of your work with dignity and a means to glorify God.
Right. And I think that when you look at the big picture of this, right? So we're talking about how culture defines the modern man, right? And we've talked about all these things. So now we've gone through power, we've gone through status, and we've gone through comfort.
Yes.
And we've gone through all of this.
Mm-hmm.
What does everyone expect after all of that?
Applause.
Yes, a round of applause. This is what I want. I want the popularity. I want the visibility. I want to be held upon this higher crown that I am the most important person in the world, and I just want my flowers. Someone throw me my flowers.
Yes.
Right? Like, again, it goes back to your point earlier that everything's driven by likes and follows and every single thing that please give me this instant gratification and validity. I'm going to chase this approval.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get it. And I don't care if it's for the truth or not. I'm going to get approval from somewhere and from somebody. And I think that we see this a little bit. And when we talk about parenting, we see this with parenting.
We do.
You did good. Here's your reward. You did good. Here's your reward. And like, it keeps happening that way. And that's not to say you should not reward your kids for doing well.
No, absolutely.
I think that's you should, because it reinforces behavior. Right. But when it becomes about the attention of doing good is when things happen. That's when the bad stuff, like, you did so good and that thing that you did was so great and I'm so proud of you. And I'm going to tell all of Facebook exactly what you did today, little Billy. Sorry, I have a friend named Billy, so that's even funnier. I hope he's
little
listening.
Billy. You know what I have tried to say to Ezra, though, instead of I'm proud of you? Are you proud of yourself?
Yes.
Like,
put it back on them.
Yeah, or you should be so proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, be proud of you.
Yeah.
Internal validation. Be proud of yourself.
Yeah, because when you start to chase the external validation and the applause and you constantly want the flowers, it doesn't work like that. Like,
it doesn't, yeah.
Because it becomes about you and what you've accomplished.
It's like what we talked about last week, where the athlete performs in the race for the perishable wreath.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Perishable wreath.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Really good point.
Yeah.
And as many times as we've said absolutely today, both of us, I think I'm just going to name this episode 6. Absolutely. It's way better. But so exploring this whole applause, popularity, visibility, all these things. What compromises do you think are made to win that applause sometimes? Like what's sacrificed long-term?
Long-term sacrifice, integrity.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to sacrifice your integrity. If you're getting all the way up here for all these applause for the wrong reasons in the wrong way, it's all of your integrity.
Absolutely.
And I mean, at the end of the day, that really is all you have.
Is your integrity. Yeah.
Exactly. Long-term relationships too. I mean, if you're stepping on anyone and everyone to get to where you want to be, look at those people that are around you that don't have any long-term friends.
Yeah.
Careful of that.
It's a really good point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Be very careful of that.
So how do you think the biblical calls, like in the Bible, to seek God's approval or eternal perspective challenge this applause-seeking notion?
Oh, I think our entire goal is to seek God's approval, and the approval of God is written out in the Bible. So by following God's way, we have achieved approval in His eyes.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
If we try to follow Christ and we believe in Christ and we try every single day to move forward a little bit more, a little bit better, we've seeked God's approval. And really, we wanted to ultimately go for the eternal reward, the eternal inheritance of heaven.
Absolutely. Yeah. The grace of God that was gifted to us.
You know what I thought about too with this is that this came into my mind, and it's also written on one of my notes because I did want to talk about it, was that like parents who want applause and popularity and visibility, I've seen this a lot in sporting events that we have gone to. Mm-hmm. Like kids sporting events, where when the child does good, the parent is loud and wants the attention, and that is my kid, and like, you know, and the kid doesn't do well, and it is chastise them. Oh my goodness. Like you're screaming at them.
Right. And that's not how it should go. That's bad coaching, folks.
Right. But then the parent is raising the child to perform and be, whether that's sports or whether that's like, you must get into med school or you must do all of these things. Like, and the child doesn't want to do that. He wants to be a plumber, like, or whatever it is, you know, it's like all status for the family
versus
to bring like honor to the parent.
Yeah. No, that's
instead of letting the child just be a child.
That's a really good point. Really good point. Yeah, I like that. Well, as we looked at this how culture defines man, right? We talked about power. Again, I keep reviewing this because it's important to focus on this.
Yeah.
We talked about power. Okay, you've got the power. With the power came the status. Now you're sleeping with whoever through sexual validation. You're living the life of what might be a cultural king, and you've got some comfort now. You've created something for yourself.
And you think that brought you freedom.
Exactly. And you think it brought you freedom, and now you're looking for your round of applause.
Yep.
So what's the result of all this? It's men chasing identity instead of living from it.
Yep.
It's performance. There's a whole performance. There's a theatrical performance of this.
Sounds exhausting.
It does. But what do you not have?
Christ.
I was looking for purpose, but I'll take Christ because, purpose and performance.
Well, Christ should be your purpose. So,
yeah, it's good. It's good. And then you have this confidence that's masking insecurity that we talked about as well. We talked about that earlier. Like you have this false confidence that is only hiding everything that you're worried about.
I really do think that's like such a main issue when I look at men that I see this in, that I've interacted with, is truly like confidence is just masking so much insecurity. Mm-hmm. And if you truly wanted to face what you're really insecure about and put them on Jesus, you could take those things away from you, and he can take that from you.
Yeah.
But you have to be okay with looking at that and not masking.
I can shed a little light on this from a personal feeling and a personal story. Is like when I was in college and even late high school, I was insecure about my relationship with Christ. I was like, well, I don't want to be seen as like the church guy. I don't want to be seen as that. And so like, I say this from a point of knowing where you might be sitting right now and what you might be feeling, and me saying that, like, this is, man, it's so much better on the other side.
It really is. Like,
that's what I'm saying is like, be unashamed. Don't care about that. And that confidence that you're showing, it's okay to not have confidence sometimes. It's okay to do that. There's definitely moments where it's okay to have false confidence. I think that's important to note. If you are, in a situation that requires it, sometimes it's okay. But also you shouldn't be insecure in that. And that confidence shouldn't be coming from the insecurities where you feel like you're lacking as a man. And what that leads to, it sounds harsh, but boys trapped in grown men bodies.
100%.
100p. So culture really asks of us, what do we get? And scripture asks of us, what are we going to be entrusted with?
Bars.
But I think that, before we're going to split these episodes up. So we're going to have 2 episodes. This is kind of our what culture tells us a man is episode. And we're going to have an episode after of what the Bible tells us is a man. Before we break and before we go into, part 2 of this at a later date, I want to ensure that people understand that there's a starting point somewhere. If you struggle with one of these things, let's say it's 5 of them. You struggle with 4 or 5 of these things. Like, oh man, I'm always after the applause. I'm always after the status. Focus on one of them. Utilize the Bible to look up exactly what you're struggling with, read through it, pray on it, and focus on one thing. Fix one small thing. See what happens with that habit forming change.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we talked about with reading the Bible last week. Like, trying to do all of this at once is like incredibly overwhelming.
It is.
Forward is a pace. Pick one thing.
Yeah,
absolutely. Start to work at it slowly. And also, I think when we look at next week, when we look at the biblical definition of a man, and we can kind of expand on the complete opposite of what culture tells us here, it's going to make it a lot more clear on where to go and what kind of like that looks like from God's perspective and what he wants for us.
And there's a lot of examples of biblical men in the Bible who are imperfect as well. Because again, we read the Bible and we think Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Peter, David, Joseph, any one of them, we're like, oh man, whoa. Wish I had a button for that too, because my voice isn't that good. But we're like, those guys, they were human males, just like me and every other male listening to this podcast.
Exactly. And they all stumbled.
They were not Jesus Christ. They were not king. They had their imperfections. And there's a reason that God made them the disciples. And that's incredibly important to where we're pushing with this entire idea of biblical men.
Yes.
So, with that being said, I want to say thank you for joining and listening to us.
Yes.
And we can't wait for part 2 so you get to hear what a biblical man should look like.
Absolutely. Deuces.
Deuces.